are moving into a new era in HVAC industry. 28 years ago, Carrier introduced R410A or Puron. Now we are introducing R454B, which is an A2L refrigerant. So one thing you're going to notice on the data tag on a unit is the flammable A2L refrigerant logo. In this video, we're going to talk about how we're going to handle that. So the A2L classification is a new classification. A designates it as a non-toxic refrigerant. 2 designates it as a flammable refrigerant. And L talks about the low burning velocity of the refrigerant. With 410A, we had A1 classification, which was no flame propagation. You'll notice at the top, A3 is propane or butane, which has a higher flammability rate. So A2L is R454B or R32, which has a lower flammability rate, and we'll talk about that here in this video. So let's talk about how a refrigerant ignites and continues to burn. For it to do that, there needs to be a number of conditions met. First, you have to have a competent ignition source with enough energy to start a flame. There needs to be the correct mixture, air or gas mixture for combustion. There needs to be a high enough burning velocity to allow for the flame front to spread. And there must be enough heat from combustion to sustain the ignition and consume all available fuel. So on this chart, we're comparing various A2L refrigerants along with a couple of A3 refrigerants, which are highly flammable. 454B is an A2L refrigerant. R290 is an A3 refrigerant, and it is propane. The lower flame limit for R54B is 11.8%, whereas with propane it's 2.1. The minimum ignition energy to ignite 454B would have to be 100 to 300 millijoules, whereas with propane, only a 0.25 millijoule will ignite it. And then the burning velocity is 5.2 centimeters per second for 454B and 46 centimeters per second for R290 or propane. So you'll see that 454B is mildly flammable, where R290 or propane is highly flammable. There have been many studies done on A2L refrigerants. This one is an example of the paper from Purdue University on the viability of various ignition sources to ignite A2L refrigerant leaks. In this study, they did various tests with various types of ignition sources. They inserted a cigarette, a barbecue lighter, a plug and receptacle, a light switch, a hand mixer, a cordless drill, friction sparks, hairdryer, toaster, hot plate insertion, or a space heater. And they were not able to produce a flame with an R454B refrigerant by using these types of ignition sources. This slide further shows the distance of R454B from propane and how that it is mildly flammable. It's quite a ways away from the A3 classification refrigerants. And as we said, under most studies, most of your household objects were not able to ignite the refrigerant. The ones that did produce a little bit of a flame as potential ignition sources was a match or lighter, a torch, a candle, and a spark from a contactor. So 454B is going to be the refrigerant of choice for many manufacturers. The reason for that is the low global warming potential. 410A had an ozone depletion potential of 0, global warming potential of 2090, and was an A1 refrigerant with a mixture of 50-50 of R32 and R125. R32 is not a blend. It has an ozone depletion potential of 0, a global warming potential of 675, an A2L refrigerant, but because of the global warming potential, Carrier has decided to go to 454B, which has a 0 ozone depletion potential, a lower global warming potential of 466, well under the 700 standard according to the federal government. It is an A2L refrigerant. It is a 68% R32 and 31% R1234YF refrigerant mixture. So another important factor for technicians in the field is what type of refrigerant we're working with. An azeotrope refrigerant is a single compound refrigerant such as R22. It was not a blend, it was a single compound refrigerant. A zeotrope is a mixture of 2 or more refrigerants like R410A, which was a mixture of R32 and 125. A NARM, or near azeotrope refrigerant mixture, is one that is a mixture of 2 or more refrigerants, but it acts like an azeotrope as a single compound. R410A was a NARM, and R454B is also a NARM, so it can be handled like a single compound refrigerant. So let's look at a few considerations regarding R454B refrigerant. A NARM refrigerant, a very slight glide, can be topped off if there is a leak. R454B is a mixture of R32 with 68% and R1234YF at 31%. The same charging procedures as 410A apply. Charge as a liquid, superheat and subcooling methods are the same, and always, when in doubt, weigh in the charge. We're working with the same POE oil. It is very hygroscopic, so make sure you change the liquid line dryer when work is being done. R454B is an A2L refrigerant which is mildly flammable. Take proper precautions. Always have a B dry powder fire extinguisher on the job site and in your vehicle. Make sure you have compatible tools to work with an A2L refrigerant. And as always, be safe out there.
Go to arefco.com for more videos. Like, subscribe, and check back every week for new videos.